We'll make a super. Okay, so a little bit of everything this evening, guys, but let's, as we always do, just come to have a stand to begin with. Sorry, I've just sort my camera out a bit better. That's lovely. Okay, no, it's not quite right. Can't see my mat. There we go. Okay then, super. So just easing into things to begin with, and then we'll speed things up when we get a little bit warmer. Just starting with some nice deep rolls of your shoulders. Anybody else getting new fitness gear for Christmas? I've got these lovely bright leggings. I feel a little bit too bright for the weather at the moment. I might need to put them away and bring them back out at summertime. Okay, just change direction with those circles and just keep your breathing nice and deep. Lovely. Very nice. So a little bit of balance work to warm up with. So if you need to in a moment, just find something to help you hold on to. Otherwise, we're going to start to just gently draw in on that lower tummy. And as we draw in, we're going to bring the arms up and over to the top, sliding the shoulders down to the back pockets, and then slowly lower back down again. Lovely. And again, drawing the tummy in ever so slightly more as the arms float up, and then just releasing that tension as they lower down. Good work. Hi, Paul. Super. Just slow to start with. Okay, we're going to add the legs on the next one. So as the arms go up, we're just going to sit down into a little bit of a squat. So bending at the knees, sit back into the heels and just let those hips lower down, and then push the floor away from you as you come back to stand. Don't forget to keep working on that deep tummy. Drawing in as we lower, and then pushing the floor away from you, maybe bringing that pelvic floor in as you come up to stand. Same again. Now, as we come down into the squat, think about the positioning of the knees. We know we like to keep a little gap between those knees, so just making sure that they aren't closing into one another. And you can do that by just thinking about pushing the outer border of your feet down into the ground a little bit more. Just noticing a few people at their screens. Hopefully you can see me okay. Good. Okay, we've got 3 more, and then we add our balance challenge. So let's get these legs nice and warm. 2 more. And 1. Okay, you're going to add a little step back on your next one. I'm going to turn side on to show you what that looks like. So as you come down into your squat, 1 leg steps back behind you. Tap your toe nice and long leg behind you, so you've got a diagonal line through your body, and then push back up to stand. Bring the arms down. We repeat that on the opposite side. So come down into the squat, stretch that leg away, and then back to the center again. Still keeping those knees pointing forward. So as we go down, make sure your knee doesn't rotate in. Keep the weight on the outer border of your foot. Good, keep it going. Nice diagonal line through the body, so leaning a little bit more forwards for me, Liz, if you can. That's better, yeah, good. Super. So your shoulders are forward, your hips are back, and your spine is long. So imagine you're being stretched through from your head to your tailbone. Good, you've got 3 more on each side. So shoulders forwards, almost like a bit of a pivot point at your waist. 2 more on each side. Catch your balance at the end, toe taps down behind you. 1 more. Stretch as long as you can, but don't lose your neck into your shoulders. And then hold this next one. So the arms are out in front, the leg is out behind, the tummy is gently drawn into the spine, and you've got that diagonal line, so your shoulders are forwards over your body. Okay, we're going to squeeze this back hip now, get those glutes working, and see if we can challenge our balance even more by slowly lifting the leg off the floor, but without losing that long spine. So I don't want you to use that arching motion in your back to lift your leg. You're going to squeeze your bottom and keep your spine as long as you can and lower. And if your balance is being challenged, you can hold on to something in front of you, or maybe the wall to the side of you. But I really want you to feel that deep in that buttock with the leg that's lifting. That's it, Sue. Yeah, come forwards with those arms. Good, Helen, nice. Slow it down a little bit for me if you can, and that will be perfect. Good, 3 more. Oh, Jill's getting warm. Good, well done, looking great, everyone. 2 more. Okay, we are going to hold this next one. So ultimate challenge on that balance now. So we've got one long leg out behind us. The foot is hovered off the floor. You may be holding on. Use really light touch if you're holding on. And if you want to make it a little bit harder, we're going to add a pulsing movement with that long leg. Now make sure your front leg is soft. It's not out straight. Remember, we started in a squat, so that knee should be bent. You're either holding your straight leg or pulsing it for a bit more of a challenge. Keep going. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Come back to stand. Shake those legs out. Now you should have felt that pulse on the standing leg as well. So let's swap sides. Repeat that on the opposite side. I'm just going to turn around so you can see the legs, okay? So we've got the opposite leg now out behind you. Arms out in front. Find your point on the floor that you're going to stare at, and you're going to keep staring at it to help with your balance. Draw your tummy gently towards your spine and slowly start to lift and lower that leg. And I want a really nice light placing down of that foot if you can. Try not to just let that foot fall down. Going to gently float up and then lower down. Squeeze your bottom. Use those muscles to help. Well done. Watch those shoulders. Don't lose your neck in your shoulders. Long necks, long tailbones. Lift and lower. Good work, everyone. Try to not let your pelvis twist either. You've got a tray of drinks resting on the small of your back. Do what you can. 3 more. Two more. These should be tricky. 1 more. Lift and hold. Or we lift and pulse. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Super. Come down and back to stand. You should have felt every muscle in your leg firing at the end of that. Well done. We are back. We're going to take the feet and we're going to step them a bit wider now into our nice wide plie stance. Toes turned out at 10 to 2, and we just start with some pelvic tilts. So just tuck the tail underneath and send the tail away. Tuck the tail underneath and send the tail away. Nice flat spine and then arch spine. Good. I started off with lots of layers and I'm regretting that now. Gotten hot really quickly. Okay, tuck that tailbone underneath. Imagine you've got a book resting on your head. Keep that book exactly where it is as you slowly bend your knees. Tuck underneath even more and then push through your feet and come back up to stand again. Brilliant. We're up, so we're going to go back down again. Slowly down, tuck the tail underneath. Push back up to stand. Lovely. Might be feeling a little bit stiff in your hips, so just take it easy to start with and then go a little bit deeper. As you feel warmer, just let things go, but all the while keeping that tail tucked underneath. So as we go down, try not to let your hips travel back. Tail tucked underneath, nice long spine, as if you're sliding your back up and down a wall. And don't forget that book on the top of your head. Beautiful, everybody. These look perfect. Okay, we've got 3 more. Those thighs should be feeling this now. That's better. I was slipping in my socks, so I'm being a bit more grippy now. 2 more. We add the arms after this next one. So the arms are going to come back in overhead. So we float the arms up as the legs go down, and then we push the floor away from us. So remember, this is a good one for the pelvic floor. So as we press the heels into the floor, we're just tightening through the back passage, almost as if a string is lifting us through from the inside of the pelvis up towards the ceiling. Good. 6 more. Can you go a little bit deeper? Can you open your knees and hips a little bit wider? So really send those knees out in the direction of your toes. We're halfway there. Whew. 3 more. 2 more. Watch those shoulders. Hold the next one for me. So go as deep as you can. Hold that position. Tuck the tail underneath. Keep the pelvic floor switched on. You're either holding here or you're just doing a little pulse at the bottom of that movement. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Push through the legs. Bring the arms back to your side. Keep the feet where they are. Hands on the hips. We're going to raise up onto tiptoes. Bit of a balance challenge again. And then slowly lower down. Raising the heels. It should feel like you can't bring those heels quite so high, just because we're in a slightly different hip position. Pressing up and down. And if you're feeling like me, it's a bit of a challenge to not lose your balance and stumble forwards. So working beautifully hard to maintain your balance as you lift and lower. And actually with my socks off, you can really see how that helps to work on the posture of my feet, really helps to strengthen the arch. And obviously the feet are a thing that, you know, ground us throughout the day. So it's really important that we have nice, strong muscles in the feet. That kind of helps with the knees, the hips, the back, all the way up through the spine. Good. Hold this next one for me. So lift and hold. Now you should feel really shaky. Should feel like it's really challenging your ankles to lift the weight of your body off the mat. Keep lifted if you can. Rest if you need to. Looking really nice. If you want to work your balance a little bit harder, challenge yourself just to look from side to side. Okay, or just hold that position. You should really be feeling all of those small muscles around your ankle working super hard to keep you lifted. Then we look forwards and we lower the heels down and we slowly bring those feet back together. Whew, I've got my calves working really hard. Okay, shaking out if you need to. Right, then a little bit of spinal mobility before we come down onto the mat. How are we doing for time? Yeah, brilliant. So standing nice and tall. We're going to take it just to a side reach. So breathe in to begin with. And then as you breathe out, just reach down to the outside of one of your legs. Pause at the end and then roll forwards and hang as if you were a ragdoll. Just letting the hands hang heavy, the back of the neck is loose, and then slowly stack yourself back up to stand. Can you take that to the second side now? So slowly reach down, just let the weight of your body do the work. Go as far as you can, let your head relax to the side as well, and then roll forwards and stack up. Take your time with these, just keep swapping from left and right. Enjoy some slow, steady movement. Try and keep your thoughts just focused on your breathing. Maybe working a little bit deeper. They look lovely, well done. That's it. Yeah, just keep going, rolling so through the side, round to the front. Lovely, and just let it all release. Okay, one more to each side. We're nearly coming up to halfway, so we better bring ourselves down to the mat soon. So just enjoy one more stretch and roll on each side. And then just hang in that ragdoll on your final side a little bit longer, just rolling forwards, hanging there, maybe going a little bit deeper if you feel like you want to, taking it into a full roll down and just breathing for a few moments until you feel ready to bend your knees and bring yourself down onto your mat. We're going to come onto our fronts and just prop up onto our forearms. Got a little bit of a plank challenge to begin with. Okay, so set yourselves up, so changing your cameras if you need to, join in when you're ready. So you're going to be resting on your forearms, elbows beneath your shoulders. Make sure your feet are hip distance apart, and we just start at the head. So we've got a mirror between our hands, and we stay looking in the mirror, but we notice how the back of the head is just lifting away from the mat. The shoulder blades are gliding down into the back pockets, and the tailbone starts to lengthen towards the heels. As it lengthens, we draw the tummy towards the spine and float the pelvis off the mat. So we create a straight spine so that a tray of drinks can rest on the back of the pelvis. Really working hard to do this, and then we slowly lower down again. Pause at the bottom and then repeat, always setting up, head, shoulders, tail tucks under, and as soon as that tail tucks under, you're rolling off the front of your spine to bring the tummy away from the floor. Nice tight contraction through the tummy. You should really feel that shaking. Maybe feel it a little bit more than you did the last time you did these. Had a couple of weeks off. Okay, keep going. Lovely, Jill. Beautiful, Liz, well done. That's great, Sue. Well done, Isabel. Lovely, Helen. Great work, everybody. So some of you have already tried lifting the knees. So if you want to, if you're not already trying that, you can add that in. Otherwise, just stay with the knees. We have got a little bit of a challenge coming up on this one, so you might just want to stick with the knees. But if you want to add the knees in, you set up just the same. Tuck the toes underneath, squeeze the front of the thighs, straightening the legs out, and those knees should just float up. But I want you to really focus on feeling the strain in the tummy as it contracts, rather than feeling kind of an arching or a pinching or a discomfort in the small of your back. Okay, starting to hold a little bit longer now, but still breathing deeply, still lifting through the head, shoulders down, tail tucked underneath. Pelvic floor is always switched on. It's always worth working the pelvic floor. Looking great, guys. So if you want to just pause and have a little look at where we're going to take this, and then you can join in when you're ready. So we're going to add a transition into a side plank. So you can do that from your knees or from your toes. So from the knees, the setup is the same. Head, shoulders, tailbone, and we lift, and then we rotate onto one side and reach the top hand up towards the ceiling. We bring the hand back down. We rotate onto the other side, so one hip drops, one hip lifts. We come back to the centre, and then we can rest in between if needs be. So there's your option on your knees. Option on the toes is we come up, and then we pivot onto the side of the feet, inside and outside of one foot. We bring that hand down, and we pivot across to the opposite side. Looking towards the hand just to take that twist throughout the whole of the spine, and then we lower down. You don't have to lower down in between, but it's always good just to reset things and keep that precision really beautifully through your movement. So I'll show you again your knees. You're rocking onto the side, keeping the knees both down onto the mat though. Pelvis twists and dips to one side, lifts on the other. These are tough, so don't worry if you find them hard. Do what you can. If you find them too hard, just work on holding your plank, because the twists will come all in good time. It could be your New Year's resolution 2023 to be able to transition from a forearm plank to a side plank on your knees or on your toes. Let me see how you're getting on with those. Wow, good work, everyone. Good, just look up to that top hand. Looking really good. Rest when you need to. Otherwise, we're here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Just come down and rest on your fronts for a moment. Oh, catch your breath. I don't think I've caught my breath from running up the stairs yet. Okay, have a pause for a moment, but not for too long. We're going to move on to working on some prone works where we lie on our fronts, which is really good for working the back line of the body. So have a little look at what we're doing, and then you can set up. So you're going to rest with your head on your hands, with your arms at the top of your mat. Set your shoulder position, so really long necks for me, and continuation of that length through your spine. So you're just pressing the front of your pelvis down into the mat. So you've got two options here. The first option is just with the head. The second option is with the hands. So we stay looking down, but we float the back of the head away from the mat. Keep those shoulders low, and then we lower down. So first option, if your ponytail is being pulled up towards the ceiling, and then you're releasing. Your second option is you take your hands with your head. So it's as if your fingertips, backs of your fingertips have just been glued to your forehead, and you're lifting hands and head both off the floor. So it's quite a big step up. It probably doesn't feel like it is. So you can have a try of both of those, and maybe dip in and out of them how you feel able to. But I want you to really work on keeping your shoulders away from your ears, and make sure you stay looking down. So the object of the exercise is not to finish looking forward. You're always going to have your gaze down towards your mat so that your neck stays nice and long. Any pinching in your back, just take it a little bit smaller so you don't lift quite so high. Good one, Liz. Perfect, well done. Use your breath out to lift and in to lower. Okay, so carrying on with those, they're looking great all round. Well done, everyone. We're going to just add a leg lift now. So remember when we used our glutes to really lengthen the leg out behind earlier in our standing exercise, we're going to do that on the mat as well. So one leg at a time. So as the head and hands lift, I want you to float the back of your leg, keeping your knee straight, squeezing your bottom, and then lowering down. One leg at a time, and then swap to the second side. So still looking down, still keeping your spine long. So as your leg lifts, try to resist the temptation of using that arch in your back. You're keeping the front of your tailbone, front of your pelvis pressed into the mat. And the flatter your pelvis, the more you'll feel your glutes engage. The more you allow your pelvis to arch, you're going to feel it in the small of your back. You're going to get a bit of a hinge, and it's not going to feel nice tomorrow. So smaller movements, really visualize your body being stretched apart, and really focus on those glutes. Give that bum a good squeeze. Well done. Looking nice, everyone. Okay, we've got 3 more reps on both legs. Two more. One more. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to hold here. So if you want to watch what we're doing, you can do. We're going to float the right leg off the mat. So you're either going to hold with just the head lifted, hands pressed down onto the mat, or the hands can be lifted too. Then we're going to take that right leg and we're going to swing it out and in. So we're just taking the leg out to the side, bringing it back in, but keep it lifted off the floor. Keep going, starting to feel those glutes working a bit more now. If the head gets heavy, let the hands rest down, just keep lifting. 10, 9, 8, looking good. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back to the center and rest down. Okay, it's quite hard holding your head up there, so don't worry if you need to bring your hands down onto the mat, not a problem at all. Right, second side, so we float the head up, maybe the hands too. The left leg is now lifted, and we take the leg out and in. So you're doing this movement on the mat, out, in, out, in. That's it as well, yeah, good. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, And one, lovely, rest down for a moment there. Nice. Okay, we're going to push back into a shell stretch from here, just to take anything out of the back of the lower back. So just push back into your heels and rest down onto your mat for a moment. And that should feel really nice, because we were just working through the extensors of the spine. Now we're just giving them a lovely, lovely lengthen. So I'll just let you enjoy this for a moment. Just coming up to 10 minutes left. Okay, let's go back into our box position now. A little bit of work for the arms, okay? So we're going to come into press up. So if you need to, you can make your mat a little bit more spongy by just folding it over for your knees or even for your wrists, whatever works for you. So the way we make the press ups harder really depends on the position of your body weight over your hands. So we're all going to start in a box position, but you could make your box a little bit longer by walking your knees away. And you can make it a little bit harder by just bringing your weight over your hands rather than sitting back into your heels. But the most important thing with this is keeping that lovely long spine. So as we bend at the elbows and lower the chest down towards the mat, we're making sure that our bottom doesn't stick up towards the ceiling. Okay, so really working hard to tuck your tailbone underneath, and then it becomes a bit of a core exercise as well. So just slow press ups, just keep going. I'm not going to tell you how many we're going to do. You do as many as you can. You rest when you need to, and you go as deep as you can as well. It should feel as hard going down as it does coming up. So really emphasize the pushing of the floor away from you. And make sure that your chest is the thing that leads the movement, not your nose. Good. That is fab. Well done. We've got loads of different options here, which is good because it shows we can all access these press ups if we just make small adjustments. Are you challenging yourself enough? Could you go a little bit deeper? Could your box be a little bit longer? We've got 6 more, and I'm here with you doing them. 5 more, keep it going. Now that floor is getting harder to push away. You're going to be tempted not to go quite so deep, but we've got 3 more. We've got 2 more. And we've got 1 more, and we're not going to do any nasty holds. We're just going to push back away and sit back into our heels and rest for a moment. Ooh, well done. First press ups of the year for me. Maybe not for you. Well done if not for you. But let's start as we mean to go on. Okay, we're going to finish off just coming to lie on our backs. We're just going to finish with our abdo prep or our tummy crunch. With 2 options here. So I've got long left now, guys. So set yourself up in your rest position. Knees bent, feet hip distance apart. Find your neutral spine. So you've got a little gap between the floor and the small of your back. Just gently press down into the sponge that you've nestled there. You're going to interlace your fingers and support behind your head, and just float your elbows just into the corner of your gaze and keep them there. So we don't want these elbows closing in on our head anymore. So remember, we talked about this a lot last year. Abdo prep is all about the ribs connecting to the waist. So we start by drawing the rib cage down, flattening that sponge a little bit more, floating the head and shoulders off the mat, keeping a gap between the chin and the chest, and then releasing. Draw the tummy in towards the spine and breathe out to lift, and then release. You should feel that lovely quiver in your tummy, but your neck should feel like it's not working too hard at all. If it feels like you're pulling your head off the floor and your neck's working quite hard, just stop and think again about that rib cage. Drive your rib cage down towards your waist. The shortening motion of your tummy muscles should give you that leverage to float your head and shoulders off the mat without using your neck muscles. And you don't need to come too high. You could just be floating off a couple of inches, and you can stay looking up towards the ceiling if that helps, Or if you're coming into a bit more of a deeper crunch, as you come up, you're looking above your knees still and not down towards your tummy. So we're keeping that lovely gap between your chin and your chest. I did offer you options for those of you that want to, same thing, but in a double tabletop. So either with the feet down or the feet lifted. I'll leave that with you to make your choice. Beautiful. Now, if you are in that double tabletop, try not to let your knees come too close towards you. That's better suit. So those knees are just stacked over the hips. Good. Now, I haven't told you how many we're doing. So let's go for 12 more, and I'm going to join you. Rest out if you need to. Remember, breathe out to come up, in to go down. I'm just counting now. 12. Nice and slow. Last little push. 11. You can do this. 10. Keep that focus on your rib cage. 9. 8. If you need to, come out of tabletop at any point. 7. 6. 5. 4. Last little bit. 3. 2. We end in hundreds. So float your head and shoulders off the mat. Reach down past your hips. Pull your tummy towards your spine and pulse those arms. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2 and 1. Super, come down and give your knees a good hug. Gently rock from side to side. Whew, and say hello to your abs again. Mine are hidden under a layer of Christmas puddings and mince pies and all of that. Definitely overindulged this past couple of weeks, but we're back onto it now. So have a little stretch out if you need to. And then when you're ready, come and say goodbye.